America's biggest city is full of people dying alone, filled with regrets. Clover wants to change that, and so she becomes a death doula, a professional who sits and listens and helps others let go of this life. But what's the point of giving someone a beautiful death if you can't give yourself a beautiful life? Will Clover learn how to live before it's too late and she too is full of regrets? The book, The Collected Regrets of Clover. The author, Mickey Brommer, and you're listening to Lit Society. Let's get lit! Hey y'all, hey, this is Kari.
And this is Alexis.
And you're listening to Lit Society, a show about books and drama. And this is a Patreon paid member exclusive. Welcome. Woo. Welcome you. Welcome to Team Literati.
Hey.
Now, what that means is that if you're watching on YouTube or you're part of perhaps the public who watch us on Patreon, then you will get some of this episode. It's not completely like we're cutting you off. But if you want the full episode, you must be a paid member on Patreon. And that membership is like really, really low, especially in this economy. So head over to patreon.com/LitSocietyPod and sign up. Alexis, how you doing?
I can only say okay.
Yeah. Oh, honesty. That's refreshing.
How about you?
That's fine. I'm good. Yeah, I was making candles today and it was very therapeutic. It's nice.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, another plug. I have a candle company, you guys. Go to lovelighterteas.com. But yeah, it's going. I'm happy to talk about this book with you. We really like
Are you?
This it's not macabre. What is this? It kind of is. We love books about this.
I do anyway.
Yeah, these are books that could be sad on the surface, but this is in no way a sad book, I'd say. What you think?
I don't think it's sad.
Yeah, not overall. I didn't finish it with a feeling of dread or, like some books you read and it's like you dug a hole that's hard to get out of. Mm-hmm. This was different.
Yeah, I agree.
But before we take a deep dive into the collected regrets of Clover, let's have a section that we love called Society Says.
What does the society say?
Society Says is the part of our show, listeners, where we share your comments with the rest of Team Literati. Alexis, is there a comment you'd like to share from a member of the team?
Yeah, absolutely. I found a comment. But I can't remember where I found it, so
no
don't
problem.
ask me. It's from Lana Wilson.4843, and they say, this is a channel I never knew I needed. 20 seconds in, and I'm hooked. And they put a heart. And I love that. So thank you, Lana Wilson. We appreciate the comment. I hope you're with us here in the Patreon family.
Yes, please. I love it. Thank you so much, wherever you were, for taking time to shout us out. We really appreciate it.
Kari, what did you find in our collection of, comments that our listeners wanted to share with us?
Well, this is from YouTube, and it comes from Love Royson. And they say this video, oh, by the way, they're talking about the Nickel Boys. So they just watched the Nickel Boys on YouTube. And their comment is, this video helped me so much more than you could think. Thank you so much. I was assigned this book for my 10th grade English and found the book intriguing, but I'm not the strongest reader, so I couldn't interpret much as I skimmed over small details. You not only brought to light every situational issue in the book and made the video informational and intriguing. I'm on chapter 9 right now and couldn't have made it this much of couldn't have made it with this much of an understanding without you queens. Y'all rock and are blessed. Thank you so much. And please keep doing what you're doing. By the way, I followed within like 2 minutes. You guys have the best energy. I hope you have a blessed 2025. Lots of blessed wishes for us. Thank you, Love Royson.
Thank you.
Now, Team Literati and all those listening, be sure if you want to share a comment that we perhaps will share on the show, if you want to share that with us, Feel free to leave a comment on YouTube, Instagram. We don't even push Facebook anymore. I don't know how to log in. It's fine.
Spotify.
Patreon, Spotify. Thank you, Alexis, or Apple Podcasts. And
Apple
we may share your
Podcasts.
comment on the show. Alexis, would you like to take a quick break? And then we'll hop on in to this week's book.
Sure.
All right, let's do it. And we're back. Alexis, please tell us a little bit about Mickey Brommer. I think she's Australian.
Yeah, she actually is. She's an Australian journalist based in New York City by way of France and Spain. She actually writes about design, architecture, and art for publications such as Architectural Digest, Dwell, and Elle Decor. The book we're covering today, The Collected Regrets of...
Yeah, her earpiece fell out. You know.
Oh my God. That's disconnected.
You're good. Go ahead.
Okay.
But I do want to say, speaking of Architectural Digest, did you know that I was featured in Architectural Digest in February as one of the top candle companies owned by Black women? Thank you, Architectural Digest. You can find Light and Teas at architecturaldigest.com. This is so tacky. Please, yeah, Mickey Brommer. You know, I see that she's used some of her real life occupation in today's book.
Yeah.
And this is her first dive into fiction. Very interesting to come off of that. You know, a design writer to a fictional story.
Okay. Well, thank you for sharing that, Kari. I appreciate it. The book was published in 2023, and this is her debut novel. A little bit of context. This is directly quoted from penguin.com. It says, ever since I was a kid, I'd always felt anxiety about the topic of death. And a lot of that was because nobody ever really discussed it. And it felt like such a taboo topic in Western society. But I've always been someone who does the things I fear most in order to conquer them. So I decided to immerse myself in it. I started reading books, attending death cafes, seminars and workshops, listening to podcasts, and trying to be as curious as possible about the topic instead of avoiding it like I always had in my life before that. When I first learned about the concept of a death doula, I was fascinated. That someone would dedicate their entire life to watching people die. It seemed like such a noble thing to do, to commit yourself to never looking away from anyone's pain, no matter how harrowing it was. I found that so incredibly moving, and I wanted to explore what would compel someone to choose that path in life, and what the role required of them, both professionally and personally. And that's how the character of Clover came about. I then started thinking about how I could write a novel that presented death and grief in a way that was joyful and uplifting, and that would make those topics more palatable for people like me who feared them. And that is our author, Mickey Brommer, and the context of why she wrote the book.
I heard her say, too, that she grew up in a single-parent household. Her mother raised her without her father, and she had the help, though, of older family members, like, you know, great aunts and things.
Okay.
So death would happen, but, and it wasn't as if they grew up, it seemed like a WASP family that is very detached from their emotions, like some of the characters in this book. But she couldn't find a satisfactory answer and a community to commiserate with when things happen. So that is really interesting to me that she went from a design study background and created this, as you said, her first novel. Yeah.
Kari, who do you think would enjoy reading this book?
Yeah, this puts me in mind of Frederick Bachman. If you like books about heavy subjects, and I believe he's the author of The Midnight Library or Anxious People. You know what? Let's do some real-time producing. The Midnight
Is it Frederick
That's
Bachman?
definitely Matt Haig.
So, okay. I was like, oh, that's interesting. I do not remember that name.
Sorry, Mr. Haig. So, where's Matt Haig from?
But we did read a book by
Anxious People. So if you like Anxious People by Frederick Bachman or Matt Haig's The Midnight Library, I thought of these books because they deal with heavy topics and they finish the stories with a bow. So it's supposed to feel like a complete kind of feel-good story. Mm-hmm. Would you agree?
Yeah.
About a topic that naturally involves depressing themes. So if you like that, if you like those feel-good, happy ending stories that involve something that on the surface would not make you feel good, then this is the book for you. And Alexis, why did you choose The Collected Regrets of Clover by Mickey Brommer?
Well, a colleague of mine who's also a listener told me about this book that she read in her book club, and the title intrigued me, and I wanted to know more about those collected regrets. So, and death is kind of feels like it's always on my mind. So I wanted to dive in.
Yeah, well, it's kind of surrounding you lately. So it's not as if you are just being irrational with an obsession of it. Mm-hmm. You're not like listening to grunge music or bands from the 90s or 70s, rock bands. This is life right now. So do you think you could be a death doula? Is that an occupation that you would be interested in?
Absolutely. As I was reading this book, I thought we would discuss it later, but absolutely, I would sign up to do that task.
And can you just remind us what a death doula is?
Well, that was going to be your task.
What do you mean? Like at the end of the show?
No. While we're talking about the book.
Oh, this is a point you want to tackle. Well, we can remind them again, just briefly. Like it's someone who sits with those that have no one to sit with them and helps them unpack their lives and give them as much peace as possible in the end moments. However, so when I was reading this book, I was like, I could totally do that. And then I was like, but I want to know their life before I sit with them. Because some people should be lonely.
Ooh.
If you was me,
judge. And we do judge. So.
Hey, some people say don't judge.
We listen and we don't judge.
Right. People do say that. But listen, if you were a terrible person and you killed people and then in the last moments you want to be like, oh, before I go, I set a building on fire because it was full of Black people. And then you die and I'm just sitting there with that. No, I don't want to do that. So go ahead. I was thinking I could just be a better listener
to the living.
To the living and to the sick and ailing. Because that's really what appeals to me about this is the self-sacrificing compassion and empathy that you show as a profession. I mean, that's a job with meaning, with significance. And as someone in marketing, I always admire jobs like that. Like you actually helping humanity, that's crazy. So I would like to just take those qualities and show them more in my daily life. But a death doula, I decided is not for me. But I see you got things you want to talk about, so let's get into the book. Is this a good time?
Okay, listen.
Yeah,
we're gonna try once again. And I put in.
Know where you going? Oh, you put in
work for this now. So you're gonna have to fill in holes if you feel like I need to include something. But overall, this is gonna be short, you guys. But we got some discussion questions at the end that I will ask of Kari, and Kari and I will discuss this book a little bit.
Listen, this is serious. You guys, you have told us that you read a lot of these books. So for us to go over the minutia within the plot just feels a little redundant. And so we are making an effort to have more of a discussion about the books. But we also want everyone in the room with us. We want everyone at the same table. So if you haven't finished the book yet, or you're just trying to decide if this is a book you want to read, we are going to hit on some plot points. So spoiler warning.
Absolutely.
However, Alexis, as I failed last week, she is going to successfully change our show completely in one episode and make it a discussion show. So without further ado, Alexis, please, the deep dive into The Collective Regrets of Clover by Mickey Brommer. The floor is yours.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Kari, let's talk. What do you think about the role of death doula? As I mentioned, this is a question. Would you do that type of work? So we could skip that.
Okay.
I roll. Why do you think she goes to death cafes but doesn't talk about her job?
Because she's actually grieving all these people she's sitting next to, watching them die. It's creating this grief in her that she really has no one to share with. Not just because these are strangers, but because she has no intimate companions in her life. And she plays mahjong with Leo and they chat and, but that's an old man. That's not a peer. She does not have someone on her level. I thought maybe the writer was trying to present to us a protagonist that is on the spectrum. But no, this was just circumstances and time that made Clover so isolated. And so I think these death cafes help her to deal with those feelings from sitting with all these dying people. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I think it's she is grieving and she needs the meetings just as much as other people need them. I mean, she understands death and she studied it. Part of her schooling was traveling to different places and studying how different cultures dealt with death. And that was a big deal. So she understands it, but she is in grief. She is grieving the losses of her life. Do you think that keeping the notebooks of regrets, advice, confessions helps Clover to process her chronic grief?
Yeah, and she should publish that mess. She can change the names, but I think it's a great idea. I think this could be a journal that she publishes full of people's final regrets. And she really feels like it's sacred. She'd never share this with anyone, blah, blah, blah. But I think she should.
That wouldn't happen.
Right. Because it's a very illuminating thing to know what people in their final moments wish they would have done. Oh, that'd be a great journal to sell. Sell it, Clover. You make a lot of money.
Okay, book 2, selling the notebook.
Selling the sold regrets of Clover.
Okay, but the question is, do you think it helps her process her grief?
Sorry, yes, and I think it would help others, and I want that book. I think that's a great thing. Right?
Yeah, a book of regrets, what you wish, advice and confessions. Yeah, I think
because
so.
It is advice. It's advice that's not explicitly advice. It's people in their final moments working up the energy to tense their vocal cords together to say these things because it's so heavy on their heart.
Yeah, she talks about that one guy. What was it, Guillermo?
So it was a little thing, right? He killed his sister's hamster by accident.
Yep.
But what that tells me is just be honest. Because don't nobody care about that hamster? I'm sure his sister did. And what he care about is the fact that he accidentally killed her hamster and just never came forward. He should have told her that over drinks a long time ago.
And then the thing is, Clover actually thought he was dead already. So
he came back like, I killed my sister's hamster.
And then he died.
Sis, you ain't got nothing better than that. Okay, but that was on his mind.
But it says something, right? You said, just tell the truth early on.
Let people be mad at you. Don't be afraid of people being mad at you. Be afraid of the type of person that dies with stupid regrets.
God, his regrets stupid. Okay. Clover tends to create these stories in her mind, right? And then she tries to apply these stories to real life people. Okay.
Everyone does this.
She did that with Sebastian. She did it with Sylvie. Why do you think she does that? Is it a way of keeping people at a distance? Because she then creates a little drama with that.
No, this is a little bit only child a lot of bit isolation. So she takes in pop culture, romances, and this makes her a very person not always living in reality. So she gets a little bit of information about someone and in her mind works up a whole story around them. However, this is not exclusive to only children or isolated people.
No, it's not.
I've had conversation with friends who was mad at other friends because they've decided Susie unfollowed me on Instagram because she is upset because her brother liked me 3 years ago. And you'd be like, are you sure? Did she tell you that? No, but I just know. No, you don't.
I just know. Yeah.
And the vast majority of the time, people ain't even thinking about you.
Yeah, it's very true.
She not thinking that deeply about it, probably. So, yeah, that's why I think Clover does it, because she's so isolated. She just has the reference of these movies, these rom-coms she's always watching, and she forms stories and ideas that are very Hollywood influenced around people's lives.
Yeah, it's a thing, and I feel like, because I spend a lot of time alone, that I have to be careful of that. Wrapping myself up in the story and being like,
you do.
They done started something with me. You be like, but what is it based on?
Is it
real life? Is it real life?
So I'm not alone, and I have to do this. I have to remind myself, do not attach real emotions to fake scenarios. If you do not know for sure, do not allow that thought to linger and marinate in your mind. If you know for sure, can you let it go? Is there something else you can be thinking about?
Yeah,
I got to do that too.
It's necessary. It's necessary.
And I'm telling you, in our head. And most of the time, I'm mad at people. They don't know why. They got other stuff going on.
They be like, what?
They might even be in the wrong. And then they be like, oh, I'm sorry, but my whole family died. I've been busy. And I'll be like, oh, now I gotta be on the other end. Oh, now I'm sorry. It's better just let that mess go.
It is. If you absolutely can, do so. Do so. It's not worth it to create a story and then present it to somebody as if it's real. Okay? It's not good. Yeah. It's not good at all. Okay. And I do think it helps her keep distance from people, because then she doesn't have to have, even though she does really want to have some friendship, she's just had so many negative experiences related to trying to have a friendship or relationship. It's better to keep people at a distance.
Yeah, before they can hurt me. We ain't even I'm not even going to get sucked into that, because I know that person just going to hurt me. They probably just like hurting people.
Yeah. All they fought. It's all they fought. Do you think Clover's perspective on regret changes throughout the story?
What do you mean?
It's bottled up. She didn't want anybody to look at the notebooks, but by the end of the book, she started to do more with them. But she's got these book of regrets, and she cherishes them, and she's feel like, oh, it's so much information, so much good information. But what is she doing with them? You kind of talked about it earlier. What is she doing with it? So initially, these regrets are literally just regrets that she reads about. By the end of the book, she's doing something different. Wouldn't you say? Or you have another thought on that?
I think it's a combination of her perspective changing because she met Claudia, and also this friendship that she's made. She's thinking, I'm somebody who can actually have a friend, who can have a life. And maybe that means, it's interesting because in the end, when she has this circle of friends, like 2 people added to her life, but that's sometimes all you need.
Yeah, it is. In real life, all you need.
One good friend, one good person to really see you. The first thing she does is travel the world and be in other places anonymously, and I get it.
Yeah.
Because it's great to be to bask in anonymity and isolation when you got a nest
I love it.
to go back to. It's great.
It is. It really is.
It's like an option. It's not the only thing you could do. You know what I mean? So when you have a group, a community, and you feel
big or
like
small.
Yeah, you feel like you can live with passion and, tenacity so that you don't have regrets.
Mm-hmm.
The things you want to do, go do them. Because those people who love you will be there whenever you get back, if ever you get back.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that her relationship with regrets changed mostly because of the relationship she formed, not because of the notebook, but
Right.
it helped her contextualize all those regrets. That doesn't have to happen to you.
What
You
that book
are an
means,
individual.
yeah.
Yeah.
It helped her appreciate what that book, those books mean in a different way. Mm-hmm.
Which is why she should sell it.
I was waiting for Claudia and Hugo's story to actually wrap back around to the story about Clover's parents' death. I was like, yeah, surely. Did you have that same feeling, or was it just me?
I would like more Hugo's grandson and because, and the author knows this, there's some value in rom-coms and fantasy. This isn't a real life story. Sure. So in the end, the romance is not the focal point of the protagonist's life. I would have liked it to be more. I want this to actually be about their love story somehow.
Okay, my question is specifically about Clover's parents' death and Claudia and Hugo's story being in wherever they were. I think they were in France, because I don't remember where.
China.
Oh, okay. Maybe that's why it doesn't make sense. But I kept thinking somehow that would wrap around. Like maybe they went out.
No,
and they went.
I'm sorry. I misunderstood what you're saying. You want to know if the parents dying, or you want the parents dying on the most famous river in China, which was like, wow, really? If you wanted that to somehow be connected with the French story that happened decades earlier, no. The French story was about true love. Yeah. And the parents were also, I think, true love.
Yeah.
They just didn't like their daughter, care about her.
They didn't want a child. That wasn't them. Mm-mm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, Kari, you have the floor. What any topics that you wanted to dig into that I did not cover?
I just wanted to say one thing, if that's okay with you.
It is.
Thank you. Yeah. So there's a section at the beginning of the book where the grandfather is teaching the granddaughter about honesty. And they go out to breakfast, and the waiter neglects putting down the granddaughter's orange juice on the ticket. And the grandfather says, no, we pay for things that we, consume. Yeah. And so the waiter's like, oh, okay, it'll be $2 more.
Okay. Cool.
Then later, as an adult, Clover goes on a date with Sebastian, and the waiter unintentionally didn't charge them for a cocktail. And Sebastian's like, should have paid more attention. Let's go. Clover pretends to go to the bathroom, comes back, and pays the waiter for that cocktail plus tip. These are not the same thing. There is value in allowing someone to give you a gift. Yeah. And allowing this waiter the first waiter was likely touched by the scene of the grandfather and granddaughter. And he said, the orange juice is on me. Now you've taken away the gift of giving for $2. It was $2. Yeah. And now if this was a situation where, the drawer was tight and you really do think he forgot, you brought it to his attention. He said, oh man, it's okay. No, we must pay. Okay. It's $2.
For sure.
One is dishonesty. The other is doing too much. So I just want to make that clear. Like, sometimes folks always got to go too far. The waiter in the adult date, that waiter accidentally didn't add the cocktail. And that cocktail's probably $14, $50 coming out that waiter's.
Exactly.
If you would have let him know, he'd probably been like, oh, I'm so sorry. Thank you so much. Yeah. But the first waiter, you told him and he was like, oh, it's okay.
He said, go ahead. Take it as a gift.
This annoys me because I have people in my life who I'm thinking of someone specifically will ask for a favor and then sweat me about paying me back or doing this or that. And you've demeaned the gift of giving. Oh. And why? I'm not sure. I don't work for you. Now I'm insulted. So anyway, I'm just talking to that person. They don't listen to the show.
You connected there, okay?
Yeah.
I felt it a little bit. I felt those differences a little bit, but
I said, it's time to take this granddad out.
You take that to another level.
Yeah.
So again, Kari, that's all I got. That's all I got. So
well, you want to take a quick break and then we'll get into our verdict?
Yeah, I love to do those things. Let's do it.
Let's do it. And we're back.
So, Kari.
Yes.
What is your final verdict? And would you recommend this book?
This is a book that I'm used to call trash. I don't call them trash anymore because I read, what was that book that threw me into a rage? I was on bed rest for 2 weeks about the girl that became a spy.
Oh.
Finlay Donovan is killing it. Now that's trash. This book is not trash. It's a fun, light read, like The Midnight Library or like Anxious People. And I love that. It's a escapism. It holds your thoughts and your conscience securely and kindly. It's not going to throw you into trauma. It is going to give you a slight twist. Nothing to spike the blood pressure. And it'd be a great book to read on vacation or at the beach or just in your little cozy chair when a mystery would just be a little too much. When you're going through some stresses in life, I think this is a book that will coddle your emotions, and that has value. It's well written. The characters feel fleshed out, even the ones you are only with for a hot second. We find out that the neighbor that Clover has struck a friendship with, well, she's in a throuple. And once you find out, you're like, that checks. I don't know why. It just does. So I really felt like these characters followed a logical line of action. And I love that. Love a little logic.
Okay.
It's such a, dying, what am I trying to say? No one does that anymore in their writing. And so The Collected Regrets of Clover, I'd 5,000% recommend to someone who doesn't want to think too much. And that's not an insult. Come on, we can't all be on 10 all the time.
No,
sometimes
we can't.
You want to relax.
We can't. We don't.
Remember Alexis famously said, can't books be for entertainment?
Yes. And I stand in 10 toes down.
And I stand 10 toes down in the fact that, yes, books can be for entertainment, but they must value your time by respecting you as the reader. And I felt this book respected me. It wasn't trying to be challenging. It was just trying to be entertaining. That was its whole goal, and it succeeded.
Yeah, she said
and
that.
So I'd recommend this book. I enjoyed it. I actually listened to the audiobook while I was making candles, and I just got lost in it. And when it was over, I wanted it to keep going, not because I felt like the story wasn't finished, but because I was enjoying being with the characters. So that's always great. Mickey Brommer, you did a great job. And I can't wait if there's a second book, a second work of fiction coming to read it. Because I want to know what Clover does with all them regrets. She should definitely sell them. Alexis, would you recommend The Collected Regrets of Clover? What did you think? What's your verdict?
I would recommend the book. I enjoyed it very much. Shout out to Katrina for recommending it to me. I really appreciate it.
Katrina.
This book made me really ponder whether I could look into being a death doula. And I like that Clover was selective about what she took, and I felt like I would be selective about which deaths I decided to sit next to.
Oh, I didn't notice that. So she was selective about the clients she took?
Yep.
How so? Can you talk more about that? How would she select them?
Well, so they have to ask her if she's available, if her availability doesn't sit. She just doesn't take anyone that's given, like the one she had early in the book with the hospital. Where the woman was a drunk and her parents were waiting for a call. She had the opportunity to take or not take that. So it was an option.
So you want to be a selective death doula. You know how cold-blooded that is. Look, I got 2 days to live. I need someone to sit with me. Okay, tell me a little about your life. Well, I used to be a no. I don't even find somebody else, but you're the only one in my area, click. Same.
Pay for it.
Ooh.
Pay for it. You paying for what you want.
Pay up front. It's cold-blooded.
Yeah, I could do it. But Clover got on my nerves with her, creating these stories. It was like, oh my goodness, girl, stop doing that. Think about, think in your mind that you spend so much time alone, and you watch all these rom-coms and you create these stories and you're a voyeur. Just take that all into consideration and just pause and reflect like, no, that's not how I should approach this person. It doesn't make sense. But she didn't do that. But I enjoyed the book. I really did. I loved her. It was a path of self-discovery. I enjoyed her art. And I would definitely read this book again.
Yeah, sometimes you find yourself at 40. It's okay. Sometimes you first kiss a boy at 39.
Sometimes that's okay too.
Okay. And the first kiss wasn't even good.
That happens sometimes.
So Alexis, thank you for this recommendation. I thoroughly enjoyed it also, as I said. What are we reading next week?
We're reading The Shadow of the Wind by Carlos Ruiz Zafón. We're covering that book in 2 parts, and next week we'll be covering part 1.
Yes, I'm really excited about this one. So I can't wait to have a discussion style like you successfully did. This was fun.
Thank you.
I feel like you hit on the major plot points, but where'd you get these questions from? Your noggin?
Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah.
I'm going to try to use my noggin.
It's a struggle to come up with questions.
So we're going to have a discussion about part 1 of the book. Yeah, we're going to do it. Yes.
I look forward to it.
Yeah, me too.
Because but you know what? I also think about people who haven't read the book and they just really want to hear the whole story. And then also, the Society Says that you read today, did it help him that he heard a lot of the story, the full details?
Yeah, it's true. Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
So that's why we need you guys, you listeners, to let us know if you're enjoying this format. Is this what you prefer? Do you just want a rundown of the plot? Let us know. We can't just be running down the plot, taking money away from these audiobooks either. We don't want to spoil books just to spoil them.
We do want to spoil books.
And on that note, thank you for listening to Lit Society. We'll see you next Thursday. Lit Society is brought to you by Alexis Anaria and Kari Herrera. Support the cause by leaving a 5-star review for our show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Patreon, along with a comment about why you absolutely love us. We love you too. If you've enjoyed what you've just heard, tell a friend about Lit Society. Visit litsocietypod.com for show notes, this month's book list, and to sign up for our amazing email newsletter. Sign up on Patreon for fun merchandise and to get in on the conversations we're having over there. It's been a hoot. Well, you guys, until next time, read something.